dear, everybody's just wondering what they're going to do because of the Dragon Furious wanting to make the whole of the human race extinct, which is a bad idea. What shall we do, O great prophetess? Asked Mogadon the Meathead, speaking for all of the Viking tribes. How can we prevent this terrible thing from happening? The witch smiled, and oh, what a nasty smile it was. You need a new king of the Wild West. Uproar in the banqueting hall. Cries of never, never again shall we have a king. The tribes of the archipelago were an independent lot who spent their whole time burgling and fighting each other. Sorry, that's my puppy underneath the seat. Right. Oh, they did not want a king to boss them around and tell them what to do. They hadn't had a king of the Wild West for so many years, and they didn't want to start having one now. In fact, this kind of talk had got the witch into terrible trouble in the past. Ugly Thug, the king of the mainland, had only had to hear her talk of prophecies and a new king, and he had imprisoned her in a tree trunk for 20 years. But timing is everything. Now all the witch had to do was stick her finger in the air and hiss, doomed, we are all doomed if we do not do this. And because of their recent mauling at the hands of the Red Ray dragons, everyone fell magically silent. Only the king can save us now, and luckily, purred the witch, the last king of the Wild West left behind a certain prophecy. A prophecy that had been handed down from witch to witch for generation after generation. Tell us the prophecy, O great sorceress, cried the Vikings. The witch leant forward, and she whispered these words as if she was telling them a wonderful secret. And in the quietness of that banqueting hall, the Vikings leant in to hear the witch speak as the fire crackled and the wind howled. And this is the prophecy the witch gave. The dragon time is coming, and only a king can save you now. The king shall be the champion of champions. You shall know the king by the king's lost things. A fang-free dragon, my second best sword, my Roman shield, an arrow from the land that does not exist, the heart stone, the key that opens all locks, the ticking thing, the crone, the crown, and last and best of all the 10, the dragon jewels will save all men. Hiccup was finding it difficult to stand up straight. He felt a bit like some invisible net had risen up around him because he's heard this prophecy before and was trying to choke him. The witch was a spider, spinning her story web through the room, weaving it in and out of the Viking's ears like smoke. And he was part of that story, a story that he felt up until then, like his boat that Puffin had been turning around in random circles that might in fact have a purpose, a pattern that he had not previously seen or understood. Oh, that's my puppy again. Hey, Zero! Zero! Shh! Hey, Zero! Shh! Zero! Zero! Oh, my daughter's gone to get him. Yes, for Hiccup had Grimbeard's second best sword hidden in his scabbard, Grimbeard's smash-ticking thing tucked into his waistcoat, a rectangular Roman shield with a dent squashed in it by Rogsbred the Turbrain in his right hand. Oh, Hiccup's got the lost things. An arrow from America, the land that does not exist, sitting in his quiver, the key that opens all locks hanging from his belt, half a ruby heartstone in the bracelet round his arm, a toothless dragon flying above him. The king's lost things. Oh, impossible, thought Hiccup, impossible! I found all of these things by accident. I wasn't even looking for them. If you read Hiccup's 8 previous adventures, listed at the front of this book, you can find out how Hiccup found all these lost things. There are no accidents, said the witch grimly, as if Hiccup had spoken aloud. What is she up to, thought Hiccup, standing as still as a statue turned to a stone by Gorgon. Why does she want me to be the king? Is that really Grimbeard's prophecy, or has she just made that all up? And if she already knows what the right things are, why doesn't she just steal them off me? Nobody was thinking of Hiccup apart from Fishlegs and Kamikaze, who were staring at him with their mouths open. Hiccup shook his head at them to tell them not to say anything. Everybody else was far too busy thinking what a great king of the Wild West they themselves would make to notice that there was one among them who had already had most of the king's lost things. And why would they think that Hiccup's smashed up, bashed up possessions were fit for a king? Of course they wouldn't. And how could they imagine that the new king of the Wild West would be a skinny little 13-year-old whose fault this all was in the first place? Again, of course they wouldn't. It was the last thing on their minds. "But this is impossible," cried a Grimbod. "Arrows from a land that does not exist, keys that open all locks, heartstones, ticking things, fairy tales and fiddlesticks. How are we to get hold of all these things in time before this red rage builds and this furious dragon attacks, with even more power next time? And what can this king do to stop him anyway?" There's the king's lost thing. You see, he's got them: a fang-free dragon, an arrow from the land that does not exist, the key that opens all locks, a Roman shield. He's got so many of them. I can't believe this. Does this mean that Hiccup is the king of the Wilder West? "Find the king," urged the witch. "Find the king and the things will come. In 3 weeks' time you would have a sword fighting competition in this school to mark your young warriors moving from childhood to adulthood. Throw this competition open to all. Find out who is the champion of champions, and then you shall find your king." What is that witch up to? Well, now, the witch, she was talking the Vikings' language. Anything involving cunning and brain power, impossible tasks and riddling talk about lands not existing, that was a little baffling to most of the Vikings. "But a good old-fashioned sword-fighting competition? Why, shine up my shield and sharpen up the good old blade there." Everyone fancied their chances in a sword-fighting competition. There was a babble of excited laughter and stamping feet. "And when I said open to all," drawled the witch. The crowd was so focused on the witch telling her story that they had not noticed people creeping in at the door, dropping down from the windows, leaking into the room like rats. People with slit noses and teeth that had been filed into points. Some that barked like dogs or crept on all floors like their mistress. "Outcasts," breathed Stoic the Vast, and every Viking in the room had drawn their sword already, as you do when you smell a rat. "But we have turned our backs on these people," Morgadon the Meathead reminded Excellenor in his sternest voice. "They are too villainous, too mean and vicious, even for us Vikings." "Then maybe you have turned your backs on yourselves," hissed the witch. "Perhaps this calamity has come upon you because you have grown soft and forgotten what it means to be a Viking. Who knows? The gods will tell us by guiding who wins the competition." "Eldest Elder," boomed "Eldest Elder," boomed Bertha of the Bog Burglars, addressing the oldest of the Vikings, a tiny, unbelievably wrinkled old Bashamhoig. "Surely the outcasts cannot join in this competition. They are common criminals." "Watch your tongue, little Bertha," swiftly hissed the witch. "These are my chosen people and my son Alfin." Oh, that's what she's up to. "Whom they now recognise." A particularly nasty note came into her voice, and a few of the outcasts whimpered. "Once again, as their chief is a direct descendant of Grimbeard the Ghastly, by his eldest son, Thugheart the Treacherous." The eldest elder sighed. He had had a hard night fighting Grey Dragon, and he was getting way too old for this sort of nonsense. "I'm afraid that this is true. The outcasts are just as likely to be heirs as anyone else." So that was the witch's game. She wanted her son Alvin to be the king. Hiccup stole a look at a tall figure who had crept in with the other outcasts, a figure so shrouded in furs that he could not see who it was. But Hiccup knew. A protruding tip of a golden nose, the glimpse of an ivory leg, a sliver of a blade beneath the thick black fur, all of that told the story. Alvin the Treacherous, as I live and breathe. There he is. Slowly Alvin pulled down his hood to reveal his wicked face. A smiling villain with too many teeth. He didn't seem to have lost anything this time. Instead, he had gained a rather handsome wart right in the middle of his chin, caught from his mother, perhaps for she was covered in the things. "Good morning, Hiccup Ferendus Haddock the Third," purred Alvin the Treacherous pleasantly, with a graceful wave of his hook. "What a very great pleasure to see you again." we'll have next bit tomorrow.